Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars. Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you again so much for being here. We really appreciate all of our loyal listeners. We see the listeners growing every week, and we're really thrilled with that. It helps me. It satisfies me because I know we're serving you all very well when you keep coming back each and every week, and there's more of you each and every week to listen to our guests. We've had an amazing run of some awesome guests, and today's no different. If you are new to I Got a Guy podcast and you're interested in any past episodes, you can go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com and get a list of all of our episodes and listen to them in whatever order you want to listen to them. See a quick synopsis of the guest and contact information if you want to reach out to our guests if they happen to provide a service that you need. And if you are new to I Got a Guy podcast, I wanted to let you know that this was born out of reading a book called The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver is really so focused on networking and the value of networking, the power of networking. I've been a networker for decades, but reading The Go-Giver really changed the trajectory and how I network. And I'm so thankful that I had a chance to read that book, and that book really inspired me to start this show. So I want to give as much as I can to all of my referral partners and my clients, and today is no different. Today we have a referral partner of mine that I really think you're going to love to hear from. Especially, we're recording this now in the month of December. Year is winding up, and frankly, a lot of businesses, they look to make some changes first of the year, and it's a busy time for these payroll companies and these companies that focus on human capital management, and no different with Jon-Pierre Badie from Insperity. Jon-Pierre, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for reaching out to me and being that referral partner.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, it's important the way that, so many businesses grow through referrals. And when you provide really good quality and good caliber referrals and good quality information, it just feeds the whole process. It makes life so much easier. And so it's awesome to have good people like you around us. And, for so many of us small business owners, we don't necessarily all have large teams of people to collaborate with. So oftentimes we find that our referral partners are a collaboration source as well. Good ideas, good inspiration, different experiences. And so I put you squarely in that category, Jon-Pierre. So thank you for being that for me.
Absolutely.
So Jon-Pierre, you're with Insperity. For our listeners who may not be familiar with Insperity, why don't you just take a couple moments here and tell us a little bit about who Insperity is and the type of market that you serve best.
Absolutely. So Insperity is a company that was really launched in 1986. So we've been around for a while.
Wow.
But we've been supporting medium-sized and small businesses throughout that entire time. And so that's really our business model. We like to support small, medium-sized businesses and help communities become stronger. The company has a tagline that I've kind of paraphrased and made it my own. I believe strong communities are built on strong businesses. And so anything I can do to support that, that's what I'm here to do. That's really a passion of mine. So when I came on board, it was like a duck to water. I'm like, I get it and they got it. So let's go.
That's great. Well, and I totally relate to that because, my primary focus is also my primary business is GPS tracking. This podcast is a side hustle of mine, but I provide GPS tracking and I love to work with small and medium-sized businesses. It really is it's the heartbeat of the country. There are so many small and medium-sized businesses, and collectively small and medium-sized businesses make up such a large percentage of all the businesses in the country. It's people think of the Fortune 100 companies, but there's a small number compared to the number of small businesses. And small and medium-sized businesses really need help that Insperity can provide because, you can't be a jack of all trades.
Well, you can try, of course,
You
but
can
again,
try.
you're a master of none, right? And
Right, exactly.
so we find out, and you find out in that process, if you want to scale, you want to grow, you want to meet that demand that you're trying to generate, eventually you got to bring some professionals into the room, right? You got to have someone within your network that can help you get to the next level. And so
Right.
disparities in business models really to be that source, or like we're talking about the referral concept, if I can't help you, I can point you in a place or to a person that can.
Right. So let's talk about Insperity's services for these small, medium-sized businesses.
Yep. And so on a high level, I'd like to say that we can either be that HR expertise and take over all your HR needs, human resource, capital management, as you stated, or HR and instant infrastructure, or we can be there to support what you already have and undergird it, maybe help you build up and educate and train so that you can continue to grow, or they can continue to grow with the organization as you continue to thrive. But we really are customizable. And so that could be broken down into the applicant tracking and onboarding process of new employees. It could be helping you and your existing people understand how that process should go. Again, jack of all trade, master of none. So are you saying the right things? Are you saying some of the things that could get you in trouble? We can help walk you through all of those details to make sure you stay in compliance and stay within regulations, state and federal. And so again, we really are coming alongside and really walking you through those things. Performance management support, we offer that. It's in certain cases, brokered benefits and administration. Employing, of course, we can do the payroll. We're well known for that. And employment administration. Training and development is something that most people don't really know about, because when we say training, that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we say training, we're talking about training the actual individual. That can be professional development. Maybe you want to get some Microsoft certifications. Maybe you want to get some leadership training, sales training. We can offer those services so that, again, as you're building your company in-house, you now have a alliance with us, partnership with us, where we're actually helping you develop the people you have within, so you don't have to necessarily all the time go outside of the organization. And then, of
Right.
course, as you heard me talk about, the HR-related compliance and regulations. So high level, that's a lot of things we offer. Beyond that, we do have an ability to extend benefits. And so we can talk about that at a whole other time, but that's something that's a game changer, because now through that, you're retaining top talent or attracting
Sure.
top talent. And so that makes you more competitive in the market.
Right. Yeah, definitely. For me, as a small business owner, compliance is one aspect that always concerned me.
Yep.
I want to stay compliant. I never want to do. I don't want to go against the labor board rules and regulations. But frankly, they change frequently, and sometimes it's a little overwhelming. And when you're trying to run your business, it's like a whole other business in itself. And so to have somebody to fall back on that has got our back as the business owner, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really important, because um, it's hard enough to find good talent today. You don't want to lose good talent because you made a mistake when it came to compliance. So it's really it's so challenging right now, and I think you as our safety net, and
Yeah.
safety net is the best way to put it, to make sure that we are not only attracting and bringing in the best talent, we're doing everything above board, and then we can retain them long term and allow them to grow and be successful. A happy employee is really good for the business, and the best way to
Absolutely.
get a happy employee is to serve them well. So I
Correct.
think it's really a critical component.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. So yeah, they're critical, they're great, and it's less expensive, right? And so the cost to onboard, to go out and try to attract someone else to replace them, get them ramped up, trained, and all that, that's pretty tough. And so for those reasons, it makes much better sense in my mind to, hey, let's work with the individual, and possibly, depending on how that process goes, maybe even repurpose them. Maybe they're, because you're a small business trying to grow into a mid-size or so, or trying to get to that emerging growth kind of function of the business life cycle. Now they are great because they're committed to the company, but they may not be serving in the best space. So we
Mm-hmm.
can now get them where they really should be, so they continue to be happy and be a key cog in your culture. And at the
Sure.
same time, everybody in the environment knows what we need exactly. And now we can focus on that. We can help you focus on that, write the job description to that. And now let's go ahead and get that person in your organization to just help you guys thrive more.
So fitting the employee in the right position for their skill set.
Yep.
Is like a profile? Do you help business owners with a profile where you can evaluate each employee?
It's totally customizable, and however your culture and however you dictate. Of course, we're the SHRM certified people, so we're going to share that, and we do have those resources and tools to support that. But ultimately, you're the master of your own fate, right? So we can craft that, and maybe it'll be an assessment that we'll put everyone through, or maybe some of your top people that you have at your organization because you're looking to fine tune your organization. It might be through an interview style where
Mm-hmm.
it could be anonymous, it could be a survey, or it can be a sit down and just figure out, because again, your culture is your culture. Some cultures are more
Right.
relaxed and everybody feels like they're safe and can have those conversations and not feel like they're about to get canned if they say the wrong thing. And
Sure.
then
Sure.
there's other places where it's like, yeah, we are 1000% going to do anonymous because that's the only way we're going to get real data
Sure.
that we can
Sure.
now make plans against.
Right. Right. Yeah. I guess it really does depend on the culture of the organization. And what size companies are best for you?
So for our mid-size, in my world, that could be anything up to say even 5,000 employees down to 150. I would say for me personally, about 3,000 or so to 150, that's the mid-size. I have colleagues that I partner with because obviously that's a more robust solution that we're in implementation and talk through. So I have a team that I work with, but small size, that's definitely in my space. That's 150 down to say 5 employees. Why do we say 5? Because in all seriousness, you've been in business, been in business, you're handling a lot of the things and you pretty much got a handle on it between you and your family and best friend and all that. You get the 5 employees, that's like okay, uh, I may hire the kid that played baseball or softball with my son, but now I need to really get some professional services in here to get me rolling.
Yeah. It's amazing because I chuckled because we find the same thing with our GPS tracking.
Okay.
We can provide GPS tracking to a company that's got one or two vehicles, and we have a few clients like that. But
Mm-hmm.
but where we really start to provide value is when you get past, the owner driving the vehicle and the owner's son driving the vehicle, and then once you start hiring outside employees that have no relation to the family,
Uh-huh.
and that's really right about that 4 or 5 employee range. Now you start to have that other variable because you don't have that familia connection.
Exactly. Yep.
And so 5 employees on up makes a lot of sense. And then so when we look at and hire an employee, you look at things like, obviously you have to treat everybody fairly.
Correct.
You can't discriminate for all types of areas. So you got to be on par with that. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to say the right thing. You can't say the wrong thing. You help companies. So even let's take it from the very start. Interviewing process. Company comes to you and said we have 12 employees and we want to add 12 of them. We want to double the size of the company. We want to add 12 employees in these key areas. Help us set up an interview process so that we can identify the right employees and interview them correctly. You can do
Mm-hmm.
that for something, right?
We can do that for someone, and we'll go depending on the level of service they want with us. We can also help them do a market analysis. Where are you even costing the job correctly?
We're okay, great.
Yeah, yeah. Are you actually writing the correct job description? We can help you go through that process to really find out if you're really A, targeting correctly, B, aligning to what's available in the market. That's really going to help your organization because, again, until you have these conversations, you may think that you need this, but it may be a little bit of a tweak. And so words matter, right? And so to you, you think this word means A, but in the market, it means B. And so
Right.
helping an organization work through all those things, it could be those quote unquote simple tweaks that makes all the difference in how your job onboarding and hiring process goes. I
Yeah.
want to circle back to one thing in our conversation, if you don't mind. You had talked about, I think, an earlier point about the services and the companies we work for. I want to get back to it, but just know that it's in my mind spinning right now. I just drew a blank, but I want to come back to it.
Okay. No problem. So when you're setting helping a company, that wants to figure out, write the job qualifications
Mm-hmm.
and
In job
the
description,
pay
yep.
scale, etc. You also help them set realistic goals, right? Expectations. So what the market bears right now, but probably more so than somebody like myself who maybe hasn't hired somebody in a while. And like, what is the market conditions out there?
Oh, there's a lot of candidates that are looking to. There's a lot of people that want to jobs. Let's bottom line that there are people who want to work, so that's the good thing. Um, the other side of it is, and I think it's just a challenge across the board. What does a good job look like to the demographics in your market? And so I don't know if you've heard it, but I've heard it most certainly. And that is, we're talking into the younger generation. They're definitely looking at hybrid. And then you got others in our market who are thinking we need to get them in the office more than 1 or 2 days a week. And so there is a tension there, but
Mm-hmm.
it can be overcome. And what I've seen in people who have overcome it is not just being creative or maybe more tolerant or something like that. It's really just understanding what am I looking to get out of that person as they are part of our culture. And if you can approach it that way, then to me, that opens the door to be a lot more creative or aware that let's just focus on what makes someone productive. And then back to what you mentioned earlier, hiring correctly or getting the right person in, you don't have to worry about whether they are sitting in your office or they're out in the field or at their desk at home. If the person
Right.
is happy in that working culture and in that environment and they're supportive, you're going to get your quote unquote pound of flesh. So,
Yeah, you get the productivity you need.
yeah, yeah,
Totally agree with that.
yeah, it's totally, and the whole psychology shifts because now you're not mother henning, you're not micromanaging. You're really
Mhm.
saying, okay, I know I have a team that has my back. They deliver, they take care of what they're supposed to take care of. They're proactive even, and they're looking for ways to add value to the organization. This is this is where I get excited because we've all probably experienced in our life when it's not that way.
Right. Well, yeah, and times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a baby boomer, and we think about things
No.
differently than a millennial.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so you help people like myself who maybe have um, inaccurate expectations of what the market really is, and that I think that's really the crux of it, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I mean, millennials think differently, and they're awesome people, but they want to be helped in maybe different ways than a baby boomer might have wanted been hired and served.
I'll say it this way. In a lot of ways, my experience is the baby boomer and the millennial think a lot alike, but
Really? Okay.
but how they achieve those results are vastly different.
Okay.
And it's
That's
so for
important.
me,
That's an important characteristic to understand.
yeah, yeah, yep. And so I can share a short story of when I first engaged. I was in a previous life, I was a sales manager, and in that space, I was given a team. No, I selected it. But bottom line is, I had a baby boomer on there, and this young person was ripping and raring to go, uber excited, and classic. He thought he was going to conquer the world in 3 months, and I was like this salty old veteran saying, "Slow down, young blood or youngster. There's a few steps you got to go to get to where you're trying to go." And what I learned, without going through all the gory details, I saw it. He saw me as the enemy. I was holding him back from getting to where he wanted to go, and he was trying like nobody's business to get around me.
Sure.
And until I showed my value to him personally. The old wisdom came when he finally came across something that literally he didn't want to go to me for. I heard he was having a problem. The person that he normally would run to was not in the office. I just happened to be there, and he goes, Jean-Pierre, I got a guy on the phone. He's frustrated and mad. I don't know what to do. And I looked over his shoulder, saw his desk, saw exactly what the situation was. Been there, done this, had a few t-shirts. So got on the phone, explained the situation, showed him some of the solutions I had introduced to him many months ago, walked through it correctly, negotiated with the guy on the phone about what the next plan of action was going to be and how the strategy was going to go forward for the next 72 hours to get him taken care of. The guy was happy. I had some action items for this young person to now follow through on. Got off the phone and told the guy, give me a call back if this young person doesn't do what they're supposed to do. And everyone was happy. I moved on to the next fire, right? And from there, he was my guy. And he admitted it immediately. And I'm talking about the different generations, right?
Right.
For him, just seeing it in action, for him personally, he said, you did something that I knew I could not do. I'm going to now listen to you from this point forward.
Great.
Now, different generations, they would have handled it differently. They would have said, thank you, appreciate it. Not to that level of, okay, I'm not going to try to get around you. I'm going to go to you and align with you because I see you're going to truly help me get to the next step. And so that's where I see some of the, because, your generation, get out my way, right? I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
That's what he was trying to do. That's what he was trying to do. Get out my way. You're my obstacle. I need you out of the way because you keep trying to tell me what to do instead of letting me get to it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm dealing with the same guy. But in a different way. Once he saw the value, he admitted to it immediately because that generation, they really are open to consultation, strategy, and advice. Because if they don't have to struggle, they won't.
Right.
Now,
and getting back to the main point here is that Insperity can help these business owners work with the younger generations to succeed, for everyone to succeed. And that's really the key. The key point here is if you don't have somebody like Insperity helping you, it could be a major struggle, and that takes away from everything else you're trying to do in your business. And in my business, I am always super busy. I don't have time for trying to figure stuff out. I need it done. To your point, I just get out of my way and let me get it done. And but in these areas, to lean on somebody like Insperity to say, all right, let's take care of all my human resources. So I have happy employees. Happy employees are more productive employees. More productive employees feeds the bottom line. And now there's money to go around for raises and for extra bonuses. And I mean, it's kind of the juice that keeps everything working.
Yeah. And so
that's where I really see the value in what Insperity offers.
Yeah, I'll add to it. We're built out of a service model. We have real people who are genuinely involved and invested in helping you with your human issues, right? So Then we add the technology piece onto what we're already doing. Now we're just enhancing, expanding, and it really is a great blend, perfect blend of the service and the technology to now provide the comfort level, the trust level, the support level, where you can pick up a phone call, we can have a business discussion. Or if you have the tools right there, they have the mobile app and all that, you can get to that information or that next step, and you're not held up on waiting for a person to get back to you. It's a nice, beautiful blend, and I'm really impressed and glad to be a part of that process.
That's awesome. And that's a great segue. We're going to take a quick break here for listening to our sponsor, and then come back and continue talking about the technology and how you're actually helping people move forward with that. So before we do that, Jon-Pierre, share your phone number and the best way for our listeners to contact you should they want to reach out to you.
Absolutely. Yep. My direct line is the best line. Number is 630-421-0623.
Repeat that one more time.
Yep, 630-421-0623. Okay. Yep. Happy to help.
Great. So I will put that in the show notes. It'll be on the screen for our video listeners on YouTube and Rumble, and it'll be in our synopsis as well. So everybody can reach out to you. And to our listeners, when you reach out to Jon-Pierre, make sure you tell him you heard about him here on I Got a Guy podcast. It's a great way for us networks to connect the dots, and it's a really important component. So we appreciate that. But let's take a quick break. We'll be back in about a minute or so, and we'll continue talking with Jon-Pierre from Insperity. So stick with us. Be right back. We certainly hope you're enjoying this week's episode, and we'll return to this week's guest in just a moment. But now a message from our sponsor, Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. If you own a fleet of vehicles, even if it's just 2 or 3 vehicles, GPS tracking is an important component for every vehicle. Here are the 5 top reasons companies invest in GPS tracking: driver safety, vehicle location, driver behavior, proof of service, and monitoring vehicle maintenance. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions can enhance your growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at www.precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call 847-865-6008. That's 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. GPS tracking made simple. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening to our sponsors. And we are visiting today with Jon-Pierre Badie from Insperity. Jon-Pierre is an expert in helping businesses get the most out of their human resources, their employees, and helping the employees be successful and helping the businesses be successful with those employees. So, Jon-Pierre, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback on what you just said, my title is Business Performance Advisor. And to me, that really encompasses everything that I'm looking to bring to the table. And so, yes, we're helping with your human capital or your employees or your people. But truly, I'm looking to pull all of my background to what's happening in my foreground to be that advisor. So whether it be business experiences, human relations experiences, that value add, that trusted advisor, that person that is consultative as well, that's the ultimate goal, right? And so whether that's officially in a contract or an agreement or partnership, that's one level of it. But give me a call, bounce some ideas off of me. If I have that answer, I'm going to share that answer. If not, I'll point you to someone that does.
Well said. That's a really great way to encapsulate what you are and how you serve these businesses. That's awesome. So thank you for that. So before the break, we were talking about all the different ways that Insperity helps small and medium-sized businesses grow and excel. And just before the break, you touched on technology.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that you have a mobile app, and so you have probably a portal as well for the employees to go on to check their benefits, maybe enroll in benefits, right?
Yeah.
Share a little bit about the technology.
So with the technology, it is something that we invested and we invest in ourselves, meaning we have our own IT staff, our own IT team. We're doing our own software development. Now, that speaks volumes to me personally, because that means we control our own destiny. We're not waiting for another organization's new rollout or something like that. And of course, again, from 1986, we know our industry. We know what we're looking for. We know what our clients, our partners are looking for, asking for, the refreshings they've had over the years. So we're constantly improving and updating. And so to that point, when we are now allowing clients to now join our portal, they're utilizing the same tool that I'm using as an employee of Insperity. And so I see the value personally, where, to your point, yes, they can go ahead and see all of their information right there at their fingertips, whether it be laptop or through mobile app. They can make changes on the fly, midweek, off cycle. Of course, there's some back-end processes and some timing components of it. But in general, it's not the scenario where you email HR, they commit to getting back to you within 72 hours or 48 hours, and then you have a link to something, and then you talk, or you got to print something out. Nope, it's very, very feature-rich, very accessible. You see all the information. To me, years ago in my life, that would have been great when I was sitting down with the wife and having those discussions about, okay, you have a plan, I got a plan, which rates are better and what benefits are in your package versus my package. If we could just all look at it right there and do apples to apples or apples to oranges, that would have been so helpful. And that conversation would have gone so much quicker. And we would know exactly what we're doing before the holidays, right? And so I love that side of it, where it's that user friendly, it's that accessible. And I can make changes pretty quickly, whether it be change of life for those who are expecting kids or you're going on maternity leave, to be able to put that stuff in place within 30 minutes or so. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And so very robust.
So you can monitor your benefits. So if a company has health benefits, regardless of what carrier, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, what have you, all that can be managed in the portal.
All of it.
You have things like a 401k. So you can see your contribution levels.
Correct. I was trying to be kind and not go into a full-fledged, commercial and all that. But yes, so whether it be your HR benefits, your 401ks, products that you have, it's very customizable. You can upload that so you can see it all in one platform, even if it's not through us. To your point, it can be outside tools, inside tools. The goal is to, and so when I say all in one place, if it's not with us, you'll have a link to it. So you still don't have to officially leave the platform to go find another platform. The information, at least to get you started, is all in one space. So you know where to go immediately, right?
Okay. So let's touch on that. So you say if it's not within you, so obviously you offer those services directly within Insperity. So if a company doesn't want to go out and search for their own healthcare platform, or they don't want to manage their own 401k, you have all those services like in-house, essentially, for your clients.
Correct. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we hear that time and time again. You mean I go to one particular website or one particular portal and I can see everything without having to toggle or log into a separate pass and log in? Nope. One pass and log in, access to everything. I can just hear through the airwaves, everyone's stress level drop, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, because I know from firsthand experience that making it difficult for employees to manage their benefits can be very frustrating and a distracting component to those employees. So if the goal is to generate and help your employees be more productive,
the
last thing you want to do is make it more frustrating, because it's counterintuitive.
I'll add to that. Somewhat intimidating, especially for your younger employees. Hey, I've never been through a benefits enrollment. I don't know if I'm choosing the right thing. And so even to that, we have some AI built into our platform where when it comes to selecting from your benefits options, you can do it the traditional way, which is you go read through and all that, or you can simply choose the AI and pretty much it will walk you through, ask you questions, you respond to the questions, and just click through. And at the end of that kind of survey that the AI puts you through, it'll give you your good, better, best scenario based upon what you share. Now, I did that personally, quite honestly, just because I want to try it out, see how cool it is, because everybody's got a cool tool, right? And I'm like, we'll see. But in all seriousness, it was very comprehensive, very logical, and not only did it spit out the best, but it also at the end talked me through why it chose what it chose.
Really?
And I was like, hey, okay.
That's powerful. That's very powerful.
Yep. And then it kind of put it in, it said that you can click through, and then at the end it said, you can keep it as a kind of like a little PowerPoint presentation, so that again, you can have those after selection discussions about why you did what you did.
Right.
So if you want to sit down with someone or your spouse.
Remove buyer's remorse, essentially, from the equation.
Absolutely. And then if you heard me earlier, say you made your selection here in Insperity, if you want to make and go back and make some changes or go with a different plan, you can do that on the fly.
Wow. That's great. So that really is, can be a complete game changer for a lot of smaller businesses. Now, another area that I would imagine you guys help companies in is the area of employee handbooks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I got to be frank. I'm always. I don't know who doesn't have a handbook, but yes, we do definitely offer not just with handbooks, but revamping, revising, going back through to see if there's some things that needs to be taken out or refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
And in all seriousness, I imagine all organizations, I would say the majority of us, especially with the small, medium-sized business, probably do need to go through a review. And I'm just telling you personally, I was so impressed with how thorough our team is when it comes to that process. Just to walk you through that process is something like first you have a meeting to discuss the state of affairs. Where are you today? And what's going on in your culture? Then they're going to go line by line and work through exactly what needs to be kept and what needs to be removed. Then they go back and they do their work. They implement what's current, what's going on, especially here in Illinois in the last 6 months, right? That's what I want to get back to. All the different changes that you touched upon that are happening that are intimidating for business owners here in Illinois specifically. And the good news is our team has already been working through that for countless other clients. And so by the time you come across that concern or you see the newspaper, we've already begun the implementation or we're proactively communicating with you, pinging you about it. And so it can be, again, this is what we do. So we'll be the first ones to see it coming down the pike, so to speak, because we'll be tracking what's happening on the federal level and decisions being made on the local level, because that's going to impact so many businesses in the community.
Sure.
And so we're already working on it.
That's great, because just yesterday I was reading through a lot of changes in the laws for 2024 in Illinois, and it is intimidating. It's overwhelming. And to your point about most small businesses have a handbook. I actually ask a lot of my prospects and my clients who are deploying GPS tracking in their company vehicles, because it's important that in Illinois that the drivers of the vehicles are aware that there's GPS tracking.
Yeah.
And so when I ask if they have an employee handbook, most businesses will say, well, I don't know if I can say most, but a lot of them say, yeah, I haven't touched it in several years.
Yep. Yeah,
and yes, but exactly. And the reality is there's a lot changes year to year. Over a span of 5 years, a whole bunch has changed.
yes.
So we don't know how valid those handbooks are, and they're really an important tool. So we actually have GPS tracking that help companies with dash cams as a GPS tracking device. And so what actually it helps is if companies have their employee handbook and they have driving requirements, such as no texting while driving, no eating while driving. Some companies will say no smoking while driving. If you don't have a dash cam in your vehicle, how can you measure compliance? And the answer is you can't.
Right.
So we deployed dash cams, but what I encourage the clients to do is, okay, now you need to go back and let's make sure that your handbook matches what you're actually able to do.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of it comes from both angles, but it's an important component that has to be factored into the discussion. So I'm thrilled to hear about how you can help these businesses tweak and fine tune their handbooks to serve their employees.
Yep. And so just to put a bow on that. So yes, in our eyes, that's compliance. That's 1000% compliance, right? What is your culture demand? And then legally, this is what we know it demands. And then we match up the two, and then we present, and then we go line by line with your people to make sure that everyone's in agreement. And then we've got an algorithm in the back that's going to go ahead and work all that out and spit out a nice new handbook. Then final proofing. Then we put it together and send them out. My dad used to work in transportation. And so I used to hear about those dash cams and the whole advent of those coming into the market and the game changers that they are. And I'm all for it, sir. I'm a big fan of it. And
That's great.
Yeah. So kudos to you and the service you're providing.
Yeah, we deploy a lot of them. They're very, very popular. And honestly, they're not popular with the drivers. They're popular with the owners. At first, exactly. I was just going to get to that. Initially, there's usually a lot of resistance.
Yep.
But once they have them in place, and those that are protected by it.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are wrongly accused of causing an accident, and then when you go to the
Mm-hmm.
video footage, you're like, wait a minute, they did nothing wrong. We have video proof of that. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a minute, this is my friend.
Yep.
And my philosophy has always been, if you're doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about. And I've actually said that to several drivers, because we will be confronted as we're doing an installation in a yard. We'll have drivers confront us, and some of them are friendlier than others.
Mm-hmm.
And it really comes down to, hey, if you're doing nothing wrong, you got nothing to worry about. However, as a business owner, you want to be compliant
Yep.
with the laws and the regulations, and you want the employees to be compliant with your guidelines as you have in the handbook. But at the same time, the employer needs to be compliant with the laws of the state in the labor
Yep.
board.
Yep.
So there's compliance. There's a lot of areas of aspects of compliance. And so I think you seem to like stitch it all together into one nice package.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
That's awesome. So again, let's go back to you really serve clients that have 5 employees on up to what you said, like 3,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say
That's
it's 5,000, but I say 3,000. We do very well. I'm just being frank.
Okay. So that's a big range of businesses. So anybody that's listening to us today, they probably either work for or own a business that has between 5 and 3,000 employees. So a lot of our listeners, I would hope, could benefit from the services that you provide. So I would encourage them to reach out to you, Jon-Pierre, and have a conversation.
Hey, that'd be awesome. I'm open to conversations because that's when, again, it's all about just discovering if we're a good fit. If we're not a good fit, I'm not going to waste time or have you held up. I'm most likely going to point you in a direction to help you, because born and raised here in the Chicago area, I feel like I'm a Chicagoland guy. I want to see Illinois win. Bottom line, I want to see Illinois win. So whatever I can do to help you move your business forward, the ball forward, I'm all for it.
And that's exactly how we handle the GPS tracking, because we also work with a lot of businesses. We work with businesses throughout the country, but a vast majority of them are here in the Chicagoland area because that's where we're based. And I love small businesses. As a small business owner, I love small business. I love working with business owners. I want to help them succeed, and I lean on my referral partners like yourself and many others. I've had many of my customers call me when they need something. I have somebody call me, hey, by the way, do you know a painter? I have people call, hey, I need a guy to fix my truck. I have this Freightliner that needs has an issue. Here, call so and so. I have connections. I have people in my network, and I love to share that. And so, if it helps a small business grow, I'm all for it. And I know you agree with that 100%.
Absolutely.
So that's great. So I really encourage our listeners to reach out to Jon-Pierre and get more information about whether or not Insperity can provide the value that you need. Chances are you will be able to do it, but if you don't, it's an easy conversation, Jon-Pierre. You're an easy guy to talk to, and entertaining guy. And I would encourage everybody. I would encourage everybody to have a conversation with you, because it's an easy conversation to have, and you take the mystery out of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
We're going to wrap up here in a little bit, but are there any successes you want to share with our, anything maybe out of the box that you would think people would like, wow, that's surprising that you're able to solve that?
So what most people walk away as far as successes, because they're not fully aware what it means to work with an organization like ours. We're a PEO, so professional employer organization. There is a lot of quality in our service. You probably have heard that in many ways throughout this conversation. But in a lot of cases, we may be able to help companies save. And so one thing that I like to bring up is, listen, my goal is to help you contain your costs and drive revenue. That's the main thrust of when I meet with people. I'm trying to figure out, can I help you contain costs, especially what we have going on in the 23 into 2024? And then that frees you up to drive revenue. And so that's probably the biggest win that I see, is when I'm genuinely able to say, listen, if we just get creative here, legally, of course, uh, uh, there are some savings out here to be had. And so
Right.
that's probably without getting into people's personal information, that's probably the most rewarding thing that I've experienced.
So yeah, what a win-win. If you can take a burden off of a business owner's shoulders,
Yep.
and that burden being, serving their employees well,
Yep.
helping them be happy and productive and successful, and reducing the expenses, it's a
Touchdown.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Touchdown. Yeah.
There's no question. And
Yep.
I would think that, there are probably a lot of business owners that may be skeptical that there's savings out there, but there's definitely savings to be had.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've seen it.
I
Yeah,
always say you don't know what you don't know. So it's worth having a conversation with the right people to find out, and then you can make a quality business decision. Right?
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, if you have all the facts in front of you, you can make that decision and be confident and rest comfortably at the end of the day.
We call it HR relief and instant HR infrastructure. And so now you got a team to go to bat for you, help you be successful.
That's tremendous, and that's many of us small business owners work more than an 8-hour day. We're
Yes.
working 10, 12, 14 hours a day in
Maybe
so
even
many
18.
cases. Yeah. And so to take a little burden off of our shoulders so that when we do finally get some rest, it's a full, complete rest because it's a, honestly, for me, um, the risk of legal issues and non-compliance, to me, I'm not a lawyer. I never have been, never wanted to be a lawyer, and nothing against our lawyer friends, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah,
Um, but the risk of making a mistake can be a really big burden. And so
absolutely.
to know that we can hand that off to an organization like Insperity that is so good and so successful in that area, that's a huge win.
Yep. Since 1986, we are now up to a $6 billion organization.
Wow.
We are called a certified PEO, meaning the IRS has certified us in this space because of our business practices and long-term compliance and regulation record.
That's tremendous.
Yep. And so we just opened up our 100th location in September. And so we're growing in this economy. And obviously, we're looking to be a good impact to more businesses in the local communities throughout the United States. And so we're
Okay.
turning. We're just trying to get the word out there.
That's awesome. And that's what this show is all about, trying to get the word out for you. If a business happens to have locations in multiple states, maybe they're headquartered here in Chicago,
Yep.
no issue.
Not even. And Mike, talking about wins, I can't speak too soon, but that's literally someone reached out to me here recently just for that reason. They're here in Illinois, strong brand in Illinois, but they have plans to expand into different states, multiple states, and they just don't have that expertise in those states. But
Of
guess who
course.
does? We do. And so we can put together the whole strategy, the whole rollout plan, walk them through the gotchas and some of those pain points so they can avoid all those pitfalls and they can have a healthy, smooth expansion plan for 2024. And so
That's
I'm
great.
excited about it.
Yeah. Let me ask you one other question. And usually I know the answer to the question before I ask them. As a side note, I don't know the answer to this question, but I'm asking anyway. Um, are there any industries that you don't serve?
So, at the risk of being dangerous, we don't do deep sea diving. We don't do window washers of the skyscrapers in Chicago or New York and all that. Those
Okay.
high risk. That's something that we will definitely look more critically at. But we do genuinely have a solution for every organization. It's just a matter of having that business discussion, talking it through. But like all healthy businesses, we want to protect our existing clients by not taking on too much risk, just being, fully transparent.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
we that whole business discussion, as far as how I'm seeing it, we're really trying to see if the organizations are a good fit as well, right? And
Sure.
so,
Of course.
yeah, and so that's part of the process. If there is something that we can do, we're going to present it. If it's not a good fit, I'm not going to waste anyone's time. But don't assume, it's my bottom line. Don't assume because you really have to just have a critical discussion where we can clearly walk through and see where we can help or where I can point you to someone that can.
Sure. Okay. Good. Yeah, and I happen to do business with a lot of different industries, and one of the industry segments that's growing is the cannabis industry, with all the legalized cannabis in state to state.
Yep.
As an example, you would help a cannabis company. You probably do.
Currently, we don't do cannabis, unfortunately.
You don't. Okay.
Yeah, and so, but to my point, we're constantly reviewing, we're constantly watching, because for us, again, we sync with the local, state level, but also the federal level. And so because cannabis hasn't really been authorized on a federal level, we have to track towards that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's a good discussion point. I wasn't sure, and that is a blossoming industry.
Correct. And so we're watching it very closely. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point you will support that industry.
Most likely.
Because there's a lot of revenue in that industry, and there's a lot of employees. There's a lot of, but that's just one industry that is blossoming rapidly. I have a few clients in that area.
I imagine you do. And so, but yeah, we got to protect our existing client base. And so we really do have to watch and make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's on all those things. And so, yep.
Yeah, and I know that the biggest issue is the federal, what do you call it? Licensing or certification approval. State by state is one thing.
Exactly.
But there's an overarching federal government that has to weigh in there. So, Jon-Pierre, great information today. We're about wrapping up here for the day. I really thank you so much for sharing it, and I hope our listeners really got some good information about how your organization can help their business. And encourage all of our listeners to reach out to Jon-Pierre. I'm going to ask you for your information again, your phone number. If you want to share your email address, you can do that as well. Why don't you share that with our listeners again?
Sure. So the phone number, 630-421-0623. Once again, 630-421-0623. And the email address is Jon, no H. So it's JON .Badie. Badie is spelled B as in boy, A as in apple, D as in David, IE, at Insperity.com.
Very good. All right, Jon-Pierre, I will put that information in the show notes. It'll be on the screen for our video watchers and YouTube and Rumble, and it'll be in the headlines, so everyone will be able to see that. And when you do reach out to Jon-Pierre, of course, tell him you heard about him here on I Got a Guy podcast.
There you go.
But great information, and I wish you a world of success in 2024. I know it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks here in 2023 as you wrap up the year, but there's always need for your services. So people listen to our shows and download our show throughout the year, not just now in the month of December. So if it's April or May, call Jon-Pierre and find out more about how he can help your business. Any final thoughts?
Listen, I appreciate this opportunity. You've been a great host and been very engaging. And I laughed as we talked about a little bit off camera that you clearly know a lot about what I do. And so that's been obviously very helpful. And at the same time, kind of funny because you're already using some of the industry jargon and such. And so I appreciate
I've been around the block. I've been around the block a time or two, and I've had a few presentations from time to time. But I wanted to make sure that we have it at a level that some of our listeners haven't heard about this, that they can grasp onto it and benefit from your knowledge. So thank you for bringing it to a level that everybody can understand. And we didn't want to talk over anybody's head with every industry's got too much jargon and too many acronyms.
All those acronyms, yes. So you got to keep fantasy football and NBA and all that stuff in your head too. It's too much.
Exactly. So, all right. So as we wrap up here, I'm going to throw just a final little note here about my business, Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. We work with business owners that own commercial vehicles. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. One of the things that we've been doing a lot of recently has been protecting assets from theft. And it's a major issue in major cities throughout the country. things are being stolen left and right. And these are expensive pieces of equipment. If you happen to own a business and you own equipment that is in some way accessible off hours or where it could be stolen, and these could be mowers, they could be trenchers, they could be bobcats or skid steers, trailers, seed spreaders. In almost every industry, there are different assets that are exposed to not only to the elements but to the general public, and can't always be secured at night. We put trackers on these units, and we can help these business owners track them should they be stolen. We don't advocate that our business owners go after these units. What we advocate for is that you involve the police and tell the police where these units are, allow the police to recover these units for you. You want to save on filing insurance claims, save on insurance premiums, and of course the deductibles, and help you keep growing your business. You need these assets to serve your clients. So if you have had any issues with the theft of any assets, we encourage you to reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. You can reach us at 847-865-6008. That's 847-865-6008. Or find us on our website at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. So again, that's the plug for my business this week. Jon-Pierre, thank you again for being with us. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening, subscribing, sharing this amongst your spheres of influence, and let's keep everyone growing. This is a great way to grow these small and medium-sized businesses. So till next week, we thank you, and we look forward to talking with you soon. And make it a great week. Take care. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.